Hi, I'm Trina and welcome to my cucina. It's Saturday, we've been out snowshoeing, and I'm pretty sure we deserve some pizza. So let's make up some dough today and I'll show you how we make our very simple pizza dough and cook it on the smoker. So let's get started. Okay, to get started in terms of equipment and supplies and ingredients, I am baking out of the book. So if you have this book, it's the Bread Baking for Beginners book. And it's a really simple recipe. And it's basically you start with her no-knead bread. And then you just turn that into pizza dough. So you need a big bowl. In this case, I'm using my clear tub, but some sort of big bowl. A KitchenAid mixer bowl is a good size. And 500 grams of flour. Then you also need 8 grams of the instant yeast. This is the type I use. I buy it in bulk. And then 10 grams of salt. And I just poured a little salt and measured that in using my digital scale. You will need 375 grams of water. Now the temperature in this book says to look at the temperature of your house and adjust up or down. I typically go in the 80 to 85 degree range. I find the yeast here do really well. So that's maybe something to tinker with, but 375 grams of water at like 80 to 85 degrees. And then I just use this simple thermometer and again, my digital scale. And a quick note on the flour, it is just the King Arthur all-purpose flour. So nothing too fancy there. It works great for this. So you'll mix all this up. And then I also, once it's finished rising, I use my dough scraper, and then you'll put it out on the countertop. So you'll want a kitchen towel to cover it. And then once you get going, you'll want to transfer it onto some sort of something. This is called a pizza peel, like this, to slide it on and off. If you have a cookie sheet that doesn't have a rim, that also works just great. To help it slide and roll, you could use more all-purpose flour. Otherwise, we use cornmeal in our house. We find that these little guys help it slide right onto the pizza stone. And then lastly, you will need some sort of a pizza cutter. And that's all you need to make pizza at home. It's pretty simple. All right, let's get to mixing. So we've got our 500 grams of flour, our 375 grams of water at about 80 to 85 degrees, our yeast, which we'll put on one side, and then our salt, which we'll put on the other. And then this is a pretty simple one. Mix around with your hands. So if you're newer to all of the bread baking, pizza making, then this is a good way for you to start to get the feel of dough and what's the right amount of hydration, or if it's too dry, if it's too wet. So it's a good way to just get to know your doughs. So then you can know if you start to learn, okay, I need to add a little more water. It doesn't feel quite right. Or if it is, if you need to add a little more flour, it's a little too wet. So yeah, I'll just mix this up with my hands. And then once it's all nice and mixed, it sits for 20 minutes to just give it a chance to absorb everything. And then we do a couple of folds. And I'll come back and show you how to do those, but they're pretty simple. So yeah, all you do is just mix this up. All right, so our bread's been chilling out for about 20 minutes. So it's absorbed some of the water. And now we're gonna do some folds. And they are very, very simple, and I will show you how to do them. So you're essentially going to grab part of the bread, stretch it, fold it, and then rotate and just keep going. So how that looks here, I think you guys can see my tub, is it's a little sticky, but you just stretch it and flop it over. And you just keep rotating it. It's gonna form a tighter ball as you go around, and it's gonna help. This is essentially, instead of kneading, you're helping to give the dough some structure. So when I first started making pizza, I was super inspired by my sister-in-law. She always makes homemade pizza, and to me, hers is better than any restaurant pizza. And we just loved her pizza, and so I started out with her recipe, and then after I started doing some of these bread books and picking up some of their recipes, I'm kind of going with this one. And it's better than the restaurant pizza. I'll keep folding here, but a quick note on timing. From about whenever you want to eat, I would go like 2.5 to 3 hours back. So if you're making your game plan, if you want to eat at say 7, then go back about 3 hours from there. So start this guy around 4:30. Because at this point here, after we finish our folds, which we're almost there, it's starting to shape up into a little bit of a ball. We let this guy rise for an hour and a half. And then all we do after that, we'll divide it into 2 pieces. I'll put one in the freezer, and then the other one we'll just let rest for 30 minutes while we prep all of our toppings. And then it's showtime. So, yeah. All right, we've done our folds. Just stretch up, flop it over, and we've got more of a tight ball. A quick note, if you are also doing your folds or you're doing your mixing, the dough scraper comes in really handy for your fingers. The first few times I made bread and pizza, I used a butter knife. Don't do that. Use this guy. So yeah, we'll just let this guy hang out for an hour and a half and do its thing. Okay, so the yeast, the dough, it's been busy doing its thing. It started out, it wasn't even like full, like 1 liter mark, and we're at the 2 liter mark. So that hour and a half is a really good amount of time for this pizza dough to do its thing. I've been busy making up some sauce for the pizza, but we'll talk about that in a second. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna ease this out. And this dough here in particular makes 2 pizza doughs. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna try to ease this out of here using your dough scraper. And I've got flour on the countertop. I can't really see it very well because it's white on white, but it's there. And I've got a little more flour in a bowl here just in case things get a little sticky. Ease this guy out of your bowl, your tub. When I use my KitchenAid mixer bowl, it's usually like, pretty close to the top when the yeast have done their thing. So put that guy aside. So now what we're gonna do is try to get it to a bit of a good shape here, and then you're gonna cut it in half. And that's because, again, this makes 2 doughs. So just do your best to eyeball it. If we were in a professional situation, you would measure it. But so typically for the 2 of us, we'll just make one of the doughs. So we'll shape both of them, and then we'll freeze one of them. So really you're just putting it into a bit of a ball shape. And again, this is where it helps to have some flour on your hands. Put it into the ball shape. I just usually do this with my hands. And then you're gonna lay it down on the countertop, get some flour underneath it, and then you're gonna press it out into a bit of a flat cylinder shape. This guy we'll just go ahead and cover up with a kitchen towel, and it's gonna sit for 30 minutes so that way the gluten in the dough can relax. Now for the other one, we'll kind of do the same thing, but I have a Ziploc bag ready because I was on my game today. Get that shaped into a little bit of a ball, press it out a little bit, and then when I'm really on my game, I'll even label it. But there's maybe a more eco-friendly way to get these in the freezer, but for now we just use Ziplocs and pop that in there. And then this guy will go in the freezer. And then the next time we want pizza, I have one dough ready to go. We just thaw it out and then make sure it's up to room temp, and then give it this 30 minutes again to kind of relax, let the gluten do its thing. That way it's easier to shape. The other key thing that you should be doing right about now is, if you haven't already, is to get whatever device you're cooking your pizza in going. So for us, we use our smoker. So we've got that outside, we've got the pizza stone in it, we've got the wood pellets in, and that is going in the house. It's starting to smell really, really nice. If you use a regular oven, same sort of deal. Most of the books I've read is like anything you can get 500 or even higher. If your oven goes higher, get it going for a while. Get that pizza stone really saturated with heat. And then I even read in one of the books, they suggest turning on the broiler for a little while, for like 5 minutes, just to really get that stone nice and hot. And that will all affect the baking times for the dough and everything. But that's one of the big steps. Now, the other big step is to just start getting your toppings all together. and get your cornmeal out, get your pizza peel out, because pretty soon it will be time to bake that pizza. Okay, here is our outside setup. So for smoking pizza outside, we use our Traeger, or we also have a Kamado, which is another type of smoker. But we've got our cherry wood pellets here. You can use a variety of different pellets. We just picked what we had on hand that is acceptable for bread. And then we've got our Traeger here, and then inside of it we've got our very loved and used pizza stone. So that's how we set up our smoker. Okay, so our dough has been chilling out for about 30 minutes here on the counter underneath the dishcloth, and I have prepped everything. So I've got all my toppings for our pesto Mediterranean veggie pizza, and I've got the pizza peel ready with a whole bunch of cornmeal on it. There's nothing more frustrating than when your pizza doesn't come off the pizza peel. So we err on the side of extra cornmeal, which can always be dusted off the bottom. Now it's time to really shape your dough. I can already feel it's a little sticky, so I'm going to put some flour on my hands and start to just pull on it and let gravity do its work. I haven't quite got like this motion down yet and like the tossing showmanship sort of thing, but this piece is effective, and you do want to try to avoid, oh man, of course, you do want to try to avoid big holes and pockets in here. This dough is so nice and relaxed though. It is just wanting to do its thing. So I'm going to plop it down here and try to stretch it a little more on the board, but don't want to lose all my cornmeal. And then I'm going to just start to pinch around the rim to make a bit of a crust. Going all the way around. All right, so we've got that beautiful, beautiful dough here. Now, in terms of sauce, we love pesto on the pizza. So that's what we're gonna do today. Let me just kind of start to blot some around and then just start to spread it. We also love crushed tomatoes, and I will eventually be doing a video on that, and when that's ready, I'll link it here. But we love doing crushed tomatoes and with a whole bunch of other toppings as well. This same setup, just with crushed tomatoes, is also delicious. But yeah, so whatever sort of sauce works for you, get that spread nice and around. And crushed tomatoes aren't even really a sauce, but I mean, then there's no extra sugar. Same with this. There's no extra sugar. I made it today. And I'll have a video link for the recipe for the process for this pesto, which is just a really classic, simple pesto. So then we just start to add on other things. And what we really like is a combination of shallots, peppers, artichokes, Kalamata olives, and tomatoes, and then mozzarella cheese. So I'll just start to plop things around the pizza. And this does not have to be perfect. You know, when I first started, I was pretty particular about just making sure there was even distribution, and kind of given up on that. We've also got the Traeger, our smoker, going. It's been going for a while, 475. It is nice and hot. The pizza stone is in there warming up. So that looks like a good amount of peppers. We'll just snack on the rest here while it's cooking. These are artichoke quarters and marinated in oil, and I cut them up just a little bit more. So I guess they're 8s now. I love the way they taste on pizza, especially with the pesto. But then we cut them a little bit so that way you don't just get this big mouthful of artichoke when you're biting in. And then we buy the Kalamata olives, kind of the fancy olive section in the jar, and then we buy them sliced, but you can get them unsliced as well. We just do this for convenience. And then we'll put on a couple of tomatoes. These are the kind of the mixed variety of grape tomatoes, different colors. I think they turn out to be really aesthetically pleasing on the pizza. But sometimes when we don't have these guys, I just throw on slices of Roma, like little quarter pieces of Roma. And then one of the most important ingredients is the mozzarella cheese. So we just do these slices of mozzarella. You can buy them in like a tube. They're already pre-sliced. We get them at Costco. And we love this cheese for the pizza. It melts down really nicely. You could leave them into whole pieces, but I like to do this and distribute them a little bit more. I tear them up. But that is all personal preference. All right, wish us luck. We're going to take this out to the Traeger. We're going to slide it off the pizza peel onto the pizza stone and put it in there for like 18 to 22 minutes. We usually start to check it around 18. It's been at 475, so that should do the trick. And if you're doing it in your oven, hopefully you've got it at like a solid 500 or more with that pizza stone in there. And then just check it after like 5 minutes. And then you can even turn on the broiler for a bit more. I'm going to do a podcast with my friend Francesca, who swears by that method. So let's get this pizza cooking. Oh my goodness. So here's our pizza. It smells so good. I can't even describe it. We put it on the Traeger. It slid right off the pizza peel due to all that extra cornmeal. And we put it on for about 22, 23 minutes at 475 on the smoker, and it smells fantastic. It's taking everything in me not to just cut this and eat this right now. So I hope you give your homemade pizza dough a try. You know, if you try the Mediterranean veggie, let me know what you think, but just enjoy homemade pizza. We're at the point where it's better than the restaurant. So I hope you give it a try. Let me know in the comments if you have made homemade pizza with a similar type of dough, or if you have other thoughts and ideas. And when we make a few more pizza videos, we will link them here as well. So enjoy your pizza. Can we get a little close up of this pizza, please? I'm very proud. Oh my God, it smells so good. That wood just makes it smell so good.